Did you know the pulseless are the enemies of Cocoon?
I never get sick of that joke.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to a not very special bonus episode of the Horror of Babylon.
But Ryan, you're special to me.
That's good. Where we discuss me. And I'm Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
I am. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. Did you have a gummy before you came over?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. I thought you were going to be like, I'm high on Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Kind of.
That's good. And I'm high on the support that we get from our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben the Fourth, Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain. I forgot that I don't do all of that.
And she makes it rain. And a very special thank you to our newest patron, Sierra the Sixth, the Keyblade Patron. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
I do love Kingdom Hearts gameplay.
And thank you to Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it into the store, say hello to the proprietor, Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas, which if I could choose any Halloween costume for him, I would choose a Kingdom Hearts themed Goofy with the shield and everything, and just see him like running around plowing into people with that shield.
I also want to see Ron plowing people.
Well, I've seen that. I don't recommend it. Speaking of Four Horsemen, we are doing a giveaway sponsored with Four Horsemen in the month of March. To qualify, all you have to do is comment on any video or any social media post in the month of March, and you will get your name in the drawing. We are giving away a Magic the Gathering Secret Lair of the Evil Dead, which is a gift set of magic cards featuring characters and situations from the Evil Dead film. We will pick a winner for that at the end of the month. Again, just comment on any post or any video or be a patron, and you automatically get in. Trigger warning, me. If you don't like me, skip this one.
Trigger warning, Lord of the Rings.
Trigger warning, Star Wars.
I almost added that on there, but I had decided to wait.
It's fine, yeah. Our history with me, I don't like to talk about it, honestly. It's a dark marauding history, and it's just not something I can discuss. My mom raised me to, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, so I just won't talk on this subject.
Oh, he's so mysterious. My history with Ryan was sort of covered during our interview. I met him in college and thought his name was Chris.
It's not Chris.
And I called him Not Chris for like 10 years. I sort of have stopped that in recent years.
Finally.
My mom still calls you Not Chris.
I don't care.
But
she had to raise you and Dustin and Anthony, so she gets a pass.
She gets a pass on a lot. And now we record podcasts.
Yay! Every week. Questions. Okay, you're the host now.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with the quick fire ones. You're not allowed to think about those ones, right?
Right.
Okay, occupation.
I have a boring office job for a Fortune 500 utility company, and I will leave it at that.
Special subject.
Star Wars lore.
Charisma modifier.
What's the lowest you can do? Negative 20?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, negative 18.
Most useless qualification.
My teaching degree.
I like that we both did our degrees.
Well, I mean, neither of us use them. We have 2 each, and we don't use any of them.
Thanks, college.
Between us, we have 4 unused college degrees.
Okay, on to horror. What is horror to you?
Hiya! Happy Easter!
Horror is a genre of media that is intended to, if not scare you, at least disturb you or make you anxious or set you on edge in some way.
How and why did you start consuming horror content?
When I was in late elementary school or probably early middle school, I had a phase of going to the video store on my own. When my mom would take my brother to piano lessons, she'd drop me off at the video store. And I think what attracted me to the horror section was the VHS covers. They tend to have like more colorful covers with like creatures on them, and I've always been into like Star Wars and stuff, so creatures and monsters, and that's so I remember like seeing the Pumpkinhead VHS cover and be like, ooh, I'd like to see that thing fight some stormtroopers. So I think that's what kind of drew me in to the horror tapes.
What effect has this had on your life?
Not much until recently, where I got roped into this podcast. Other than that, I think it's mostly just horror and anime have majorly desensitized me to the majority of media.
Why did you start the podcast?
I did want a creative outlet, and I couldn't convince Daniel to do a Star Wars or Lord of the Rings podcast, so horror was the what is it called when you ride on the back of a motorcycle?
The bitch seat?
The bitch seat. That was the bitch seat choice.
There's a timeline where we're doing a fantasy podcast, and you let me talk about Final Fantasy every once in a while.
That'd be fine. As long as it's not 13.
Yeah, we skipped that one.
Did you know the Pulseless are the enemies of Cocoon?
I never get sick of that joke. On to breakfast. Please explain baked beans with breakfast.
Because the full English breakfast doesn't have enough protein. It has bacon, sausage, like meat puddings. So you actually have to add more protein with baked beans, and you use your toast to mop up all the bean juice.
That actually kind of sounds good.
Yeah.
What is your favorite breakfast?
Fried egg breakfast sandwiches with like bacon, cheese, or sausage on like a bagel or an English muffin.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
More horror.
Beck, get us food.
What was your favorite era of horror?
Probably like Stephen King's 80s novels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite example of that?
It, Pet Sematary, Christine, Cujo, some of the Dark Tower books.
Some of them.
Some of them.
How much of Wizard of Glass have you gotten through?
I finished part 2. So I read part 1, then I stopped and I read No Beast So Fierce. I read part 2 and I stopped, and I'm on a Star Wars book. So I'm almost done with this Star Wars book, then I'm going to get into part 3.
I have 6 hours left.
Chug-a-lug.
Yeah. Charlie. Sorry. What piece of horror media do you have a lot of nostalgia for?
The 1990 It miniseries.
That's exactly. If you would have said anything else, I would have been shocked.
Yeah, I mean, there are other ones I have nostalgia for, but that's the one. Mm-hmm. I think that's the one that got me super interested in Stephen King. And it's probably, aside from like a couple other things, I like Pet Sematary. It's probably one of the ones that scared me most. I think the ones that scared me most as a kid were Pet Sematary and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Dark Crystal. But like in like a fun way, it was the one that scared me the most.
Yeah.
Not in like a ruin your day kind of way.
As opposed to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, that movie fucked me up. I still haven't rewatched it.
We really should do that.
I saw it when I was like 10 or 11 and I haven't seen it since.
Alrighty, what's your favorite jank horror? And don't say my ex-wife.
She's not my favorite anything.
Not the jank horse.
Jank horse.
God, because I can't enunciate.
The Ewok horror comic that Alyssa Wong did last year.
I still need to read that.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like that they, I think it was Battlefront 2 also did like a Ewok versus Stormtroopers mode.
Yeah, they did. They just re-released those on Switch. Apparently they're super buggy, so I'm waiting.
What kinds of horror content will you not consume?
I'm not particularly into extreme horror. Also not super big on slashers or torture porn or cosmic horror, but I am fine consuming those in small amounts for the podcast. Like we just did Cherry Falls, and we're about to do the two
Happy Death Days.
Happy Death Day movies. Like I'm fine with slasher in like a small amount, but extreme horror I don't think I'm ever gonna.
I will never actively go out of my way to read that again, so I agree with you.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Discuss a horror experience of which you have fond memories.
I kind of expected you to tell this story, so I'm gonna tell it.
Oh, okay, cool. That was gonna be one of my like secret questions, was to figure out what this was.
Us going to see Sinister.
Oh, that's such a good one too.
Even though it's like mostly at my expense.
Yeah.
Also, actually, what the Exorcism movie that we went to see with everybody and Pi got kicked out of the theater.
Oh, the Last Exorcist.
Yeah, I
That
don't
was
even.
at Pi's expense.
Yeah, that's why I'm changing. I don't even remember what he yelled, but he
Turn
yelled.
off the fucking lights.
Yeah, and
Because the lights were still on during all of the previews.
and they just walked up and kicked him out, and I'm like, wow, okay. Sometimes they leave the lights on during the trailers, and I don't know. That was funny. Actually, I also really enjoyed just the whole experience of going to see Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
And the people being excited and upset, and other people getting pissed off that other people were excited, and then somebody puking in their popcorn.
They got so excited they puked in their popcorn.
It was just a fun night.
That's how I tell that story.
Okay, I will just say, going to see horror movies in theaters, sometimes even if I don't like the movie, I can still enjoy the experience.
I think a lot of our best theater experiences have been horror movies.
Yeah, probably.
Or Clash of the Titans.
Ugh.
Sorry. What is your most proud horror moment?
Turning you on to Mermaid Saga? I don't know.
Okay, I'll take that. What is your biggest horror mistake?
The Horror of Babylon?
I thought you were going to say turning me on to Battle Royale.
Maybe. But, I mean, that's included in
Yeah.
The Horror of Babylon. Hey, we should read this book called The Confederado. That's my biggest horror mistake.
Where were we? Oh, horror mistake. What opening to a horror movie, novel, game always puts you on edge?
Adrian Mellon scene from It Chapter 2. It's just like the perfect fucking way to open that movie. And we won't talk about the rest of the movie, but that scene is so awesome.
It's a strong opening.
Yeah.
How do you envision the end of horror?
When Daniel dies.
I make horror exist simply by existing.
Well, it won't exist for me anymore.
I do like that you've already accepted that I die first.
Yeah, I think someone's husband will shoot you at some point.
Oh no. Monster of the week. Is it the husband?
No, it's you.
What is happening in the art on Stasis?
Balance something that our legislative branch is unable to do.
Will they ever make a clown planeswalker?
They already have. All the Tybalts are a joke.
Okay, so now we're on to questions that we got off of Kendall Reviews.
Ooh.
What is your favorite childhood book?
The Hobbit.
I would have been shocked if it was anything else. Do you have a favorite horror movie director?
No, I don't think I know horror movie directors well enough to have a favorite.
What are you reading now?
The newest Star Wars The High Republic book while I'm on break from Wizard and Glass. And Drake and I are reading Goosebumps Say Cheese or Die.
Oh. What was the last great book you read?
I want to say The Fall of Numenor, but there's no original fiction in that. It's just a collection of all the writings that Tolkien ever did on the Second Age. So it just takes from other things. No, we won't say that then, since it's not. I don't know. I'll just say Taipan 2.
Yeah, that one just really sticks out.
Yeah, it's really good. It'll probably be the best book I've read till I finally read Gaijin.
Audiobook, ebook, paperback, or hardback?
Audiobook. I'm such a bad reader.
Who were the authors that inspired you to write?
I don't write.
You should.
Okay. I write emails.
I actually think you're a fantastic writer. I am a little biased, though.
Mm-hmm.
What scares you?
Outliving my kids.
Oh, God. Dude, that made my tummy hurt.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, that's true, though.
That's the one... like, everything else I could deal with, that I don't think I could deal with.
You find yourself on a desert island, not a desert island. Which 3 people would you wish to be on a deserted island with, and why? You can choose... Oh, which of these 3 people? You can choose one fictional character from your writing, one fictional character from any other book, or one real-life person that is not a family member or a friend.
Sienna Rhee from Star Wars Lost Stars, because I could make her forget the Empire.
This is your bro I can fix her moment.
But I would have to be 16. Or she would have to be aged up a lot.
Okay, wait, so when was she 16? Like, were you 16 when you first discovered this character?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't have a sexual fixation.
Okay.
It's more of a...
You still want to fix her, though?
Yeah.
You want to be her Luke Skywalker.
And she's like in her early 20s by the end of the book.
That's cute. Questions from the student room. What's your favorite aspect of a horror film?
The creatures, practical effects, costumes, monsters.
What scares you most in a horror film?
Kids dying, getting eaten, real home invasions.
Alright, where were we at? Okay, so in a trailer for a horror film, what would entice you to go see it?
Not showing me the monster.
What's your favorite subgenre?
Dark fantasy.
What do you dislike about horror films?
A lot.
Do you feel that documentary-style horror films such as the Blair Witch Project are more effective than purely fictional horror films such as Saw, and why?
I'm not sure that I've ever seen... I've never seen the Blair Witch.
I think the only one that I know you've seen is The Last Exorcist.
Yeah, and I didn't like that. The first Texas Chainsaw remake, that was kind of like a found footage.
No, because they only do that right at the beginning of the film.
As like a frame narrative.
And then they go right into the...
Okay, then I'm just going to say no, but to be fair, I haven't watched a lot of that type.
What puts you off of watching a horror film the most?
I'm okay with gratuitous violence, but I'm not real big on, like, torture porn.
What do you expect to see when watching a horror film? I thought you were going to say me because we usually do it together.
Daniel.
Daniel. 3 of the worst horror films ever made. To the list.
So, excluding, like, the dollar babies and shit, my bottom 3, like, real theatrical horror films are Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, The Evil Dead, and Evil Dead 2013.
Okay.
So I don't like it when people get trapped in the woods. But I love Cabin in the Woods. Oh, and then the 3 highest.
Yeah, and then the 3 highest.
So legit horror. It is a mini series. So I guess Gremlins, Pet Sematary, and The Exorcist.
It's a good list.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did the 3 best, the 3 worst. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like watching horror films?
6 or 7 maybe. I mean, I'm kind of burned out on horror movies, but I don't know if the podcast helps or hurts it, because if I'm not interested, I can still watch it to be analytical, or if it hurts it because I have to watch something I don't want to watch. But
I think it's a low column A, low column B for me. But
yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like reading horror novels?
Probably like an 8 or a 9. I just have really found out through this podcast that I really generally prefer horror novels to horror movies. Not that there aren't a lot of horror movies that I love. And if I probably had a break and weren't so burned out on horror movies, I would feel better about them. But we've watched so many bad ones in the past 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And we have read some bad horror novels, but they're fewer and farther between.
Yeah.
And I think books tend to be scarier.
I agree with you. Are you ready for your secret bonus questions?
No.
Fuck, marry, kill. George Lucas, Stephen King, and Tolkien.
So Tolkien is magically still alive?
Yeah, no, they're all, and you can picture them in their prime if you need to.
Well, I would absolutely kill Stephen King. Because I would wait till his newest book comes out. I'd buy a bunch of copies of it, go to a signing, have him sign them all. Like, I'd pay him whatever he wanted, sign all of them. Then I'd kill him. Then I'd eBay the shit out of those books. I would marry Tolkien so he could tell me stories.
And you'd fuck George Lucas.
Yeah, because, like, a young George Lucas with the beard.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, like, he's not a bad-looking guy.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, he's a pretty decent-looking dude.
You could dress up as a stormtrooper. All right. Next bonus question. You are paid 10 grand to write a horror novel. How do you approach it? Do you have a premise?
They're going to pay me up front?
Yes.
I'll just write something dumb. Okay, Ernest Frankenstein and his travels across Europe searching for answers about his brother when he accidentally falls into Dracula's polyamorous group and gets turned into a vampire and becomes Dracula's sex slave. And he's given Dracula head, and he accidentally dislocates his jaw while giving Dracula head, and he has to go to the ER, and he's so embarrassed he tries to kill himself, but he can't because he's undead. And so then he has to go get therapy, and he sees Sigmund Freud in Austria, and it suddenly becomes a psychological thriller.
I hope you're listening, publishing companies. This is a 10 grand idea.
Yeah.
What can horror authors learn from fantasy authors?
World building, character dynamics within, like, a group of characters, like a party of characters. And I think generally, like, descriptive settings is something that's a little more heavily used in fantasy than horror, and could be important for, like, oh, this is a spooky house.
Tell us about your other YouTube content.
My YouTube channel, Darth Daimyo, where I do Pokemon and Stardew Valley content. Most of the Pokemon content is Pokemon Go, and a lot of it is shorts, because even though I don't like shorts and it's not really what I want to do, it's all I really have time for. But I have been slowly doing a Pokemon Blue version Nuzlocke, which, if you don't know what that is, a Nuzlocke is like a particular challenge for a Pokemon game where if you can only catch one Pokemon per area, and it has to be the first Pokemon you encounter, and if you miss on catching it, you don't get a Pokemon for that area. You have to nickname every Pokemon you get, and if a Pokemon faints, you have to release it because it's dead.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool. And I'm also started streaming this past week. I did 2 streams of Stardew Valley, the 1.6 update, one by myself and one with my 2 kids, and we're planning on doing more live streams with Stardew Valley, and we actually had some people watch.
Shoot me a link. Which
was cool. Yeah, so if you like Pokemon or Stardew Valley and don't like Daniel, then go check that out.
There's more people than you think.
It's at least 2.
Explain Stardew Valley. Best wife.
Abigail. She has purple hair. And she just has like this cute little outfit with like a denim jacket. She has teeth. Her teeth are so strong she can eat rocks. She's the gamer girl. She has a pet guinea pig, and she likes to go on adventures. She will go into the mines.
Is this the first one I put in the trash column?
Yeah. She goes to the graveyard at night to practice her sword skills in the dark. And she kills someone for you. There's a hard event where you get attacked by a monster, and she kills it to save you. And she reminds me of like a sexy purple-haired version of this guy from my comm class in college, where we had this assignment where you had to explain your life as through an inanimate object. And this, I'm a big nerd, and I've said some really nerdy shit in my life.
Okay.
But this guy, I love him. But so we're going around doing our presentations, and it came to him, and she was like, "Okay, what's your item?" "A sword." "Okay, well, can you explain why?" Because I'm really into the Chronicles of Narnia, and that just got me into real sword play. So every day at dawn, I go out in the woods and I practice my sword skills.
I feel so cool right now. I feel so cool.
And on The Office, Dwight says something almost exactly the same.
Alrighty. Just a couple more. Top horror content you still want to cover?
The Dead Zone, I think, is probably my favorite Stephen King book, aside from It and Pet Sematary. The movie is really bad, but I'm also insanely biased against Christopher Walken.
Come on.
But the book is amazing. And then also The Long Walk, the Richard Bachman book, I would really like to do.
Okay.
And I do want to read the Desperation and the
Regulators.
Yeah, I wanted to read those for a long time.
Those are fantastic.
I also want to do the two Darcy Stoker novels.
Yeah.
Dracul and Dracula the Undead. I've read Dracul and I loved it, but I've waited on the other one. I would like to get you to read at least 1 or 2 trade paperback, like the first couple of The Walking Dead, because I think you'd like the comics.
I like the first season of the show.
Yeah, I think you'd like the comics, because it's like it's what the show is at its. Basically, what the show does is it takes every event and it drags it out with like dramatization.
Yeah.
Like things that happen in the comics that take 10 pages take 3 episodes in the show.
Okay. Top non-horror content you want to cover?
I don't know if we should cover the Asian saga. If we're not going to, I'm going to read Gaijin on my own at some point soon.
Samesies.
Yeah.
If we switch gears on the podcast completely, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. And if we do that, I think it would be hilarious to have you read all 7 Harry Potter books.
They're on my list.
That would be so cool.
What is the biggest challenge of editing, and why is it Daniel?
No, I think the biggest challenge is making myself make time to sit down and do it. Mm-hmm. Time management and having it done on time is the biggest challenge. Like, you honestly, you make jokes all the time that you say horrible things I have to cut. You don't really say that many things. Like, I leave...
Most of the time you just bleep me to be funny.
Yeah. I leave 98% of what we say. Honestly, I probably take as much of my own stupid comments out as I do yours.
Are you ready for the last bonus question?
No.
You are put in charge of a roast of your co-hosts. How do you open it for Daniel? Hef.
Well, for Hef, I open it with the, it's time to duel Yu-Gi-Oh! It's time to, like, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Theme song. For you, I guess a list of your failed relationships.
Okay, that's a good one. That's all I got for you.
Do it like in like a Johnny Carson, like you have them in an envelope and you put it to your head. And...
Oh my god, that's great.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
I'm gonna put you in charge of my roast.
Okay. I mean, a roast is something we could do.
Yeah.
So, upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, this Sunday, we are reviewing the 1996 film, The Ghost in the Darkness. And then the following Sunday, April 7th, we are listening to Daniel bitch about Wizard and Glass by Stephen King.
Yeah.
So, I'll tell you...
I like parts of the book.
I'll tell you. I actually think, so far, I like it more than The Wastelands, but I expect both you and Hef to like it less.
So far, I do like it less with 2 exceptions.
Okay. Because it's very different from the other 3.
It is very different.
Yeah.
I think the parts that I like way more. Mm-hmm. But there's just a bunch of stuff that just doesn't appeal to me, so...
And I'm reading it, I'm like, Stephen King tried to write Pride and Prejudice.
I have like 10 Romeo and Juliet jokes.
Yeah.
But I'll save them for that.
And then our next 2 bonus episodes are both Four Horsemen sponsored. On April 4th, we're reviewing Happy Death Day. And April 11th, we are reviewing Happy Death Day to You. And thank you to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and...
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the 4th Patron of Hope, and Mia the 5th, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
And thank you to Sierra the 6th, the Keyblade Patron. And thank you to Four Horsemen Comics, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it in the store, say hello to Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. Thank you for interviewing me.
I had a good time.
Yeah, it was okay. And thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.